Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our latest interview in the Women in STEM speaker series. Every Wednesday from now through September 30th, we'll introduce you to some inspiring women, female role models who are doing incredible work in a variety of STEM fields. This series is supported by the Association of Science and Technology Centers and If Then through Gender Equity Grant, which supports projects aimed at increasing the representation of women and gender minorities in STEM. My name's Nicole Chenoweth. I work in the marketing department at Carnegie Science Center, and I'm so excited to be here today. I'm really excited to be talking to Dr. Roselin Rosario-Melendez, Associate Principal Chemist and Project Leader at L'Oreal USA. Roselin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here today.
Oh, great. I have to say, I'm kind of makeup obsessed and I love a lot of L'Oreal products. So I'm super jazzed to be talking with you today and I can't wait to learn more about your career. So I have a few questions prepared to get us started. Folks that are watching from home, feel free to comment below with some questions of your own and we'll get to those later on in the presentation. So to start off with, Roselin, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into your career.
So my background is in chemistry. I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Puerto Rico. And I have a PhD in polymer chemistry from Rutgers University. I didn't go to school for cosmetics, personal care, anything like that. I did most of my work. I have background in some biological related research, and I also have a background on synthesis and characterization of polymers to be used for controlled drug delivery and treatment of different diseases. And from that all the way to becoming a polymer chemist, I didn't go to school for that. I just came to the realization that for creating makeup and cosmetic products are chemists and scientists, the ones that are working behind them, doing those innovations, doing research like any other scientist in a lab, and that I could use my background and just apply it into making those products. So it was just years of just learning. When I was in graduate school, my advisor, Professor Jurek, she had collaborations with different industries, and some included the personal care industry. So that's when I first kind of heard about it and was like, oh, wait a minute. I love makeup. I'm a chemist. Maybe I can merge the two, and that's a possibility. That's when I realized that I could do that. And then after I finished my PhD, then I pursued a career towards that industry rather than the pharmaceutical industry.
Very interesting. What does a day on the job for you look like?
So currently, on the current times that we're living, I have like two different types of days because I'm working one day from home and the other one I go into the lab in the office. So also in my current role and position, I'm not spending most of my time in the lab anymore. I'm doing more of project management and managing a team, overseeing the innovation work that we're doing, and a lot of like research kind of on paper. So the days that I'm home, that's the days that I take a lot of virtual meetings. So I'm communicating with people here in the US. I have meetings with people globally. Like this morning, I was having a phone call with someone in India. So I try to maximize all those interactions when I'm at home. And then the days that I go into the lab, so then I try to spend at least half of the day in the lab. Sometimes just testing a crazy idea that I have in my mind that I can't really explain to somebody else to do. So I have to do it myself or with my team, helping them, guiding them through some experiments or just, checking samples to see where we are in the project. And so I try to spend a lot of time just doing that. But prior to that, when I was in the lipstick innovation team, then I was spending probably 80% of my time in the lab. So I was just formulating, understanding the different ingredients, doing a lot of research to understand each of the ingredients separately, and then start incorporating them into a formula. And and then after that, start testing them and seeing whether or not I have the product that I wanted and that is meeting the objectives. So I'm still doing that. I'm just not doing it completely hands-on myself. I do it with the collaboration and participation of the team.
Nice. Lipstick Innovation Lab, like, oh my gosh, I would love to get a behind the scenes tour. Something I love about the cosmetics industry, probably the thing I love the most, is that there's always something new coming out. There's always some kind of new innovation or new type of product to try to make either application easier or to make it last longer. So what's a product innovation that you've had a hand in that you're particularly proud of?
So one that I always talk about is the Maybelline SuperStay Matte Ink liquid lipstick. So that was actually my first project when I joined L'Oreal. So I was developing that formula, a lipstick, a liquid lipstick that could, pre-apply one step, is comfortable, it lasts all day. So I'm super proud because, it was like I gained so much knowledge by working on that formula. Also, we just got our patents granted about a month ago that show that the product, the formula is new, different, that never existed before. So I'm super proud. Also seeing the success of the product in the market. I get so much feedback from people, like people I don't even know, that they love the product. And I like also seeing like people making the connection that, here's the person that worked on it. It didn't appear out of thin air. It's science, it's research, and that there's a lot of, all the, research steps go through the process of making that product. And of course, I wasn't the only person that worked on it. Many people did. Like after, I created in the lab, it went through a process, but I'm super proud to be able to go to a store. Like I can walk out today, go to a store, see it on the display and say, hey, I was the very first person that made that formula.
Very cool. Oh my gosh, as someone that has a tube of that lipstick myself, hats off to you for coming up with a great formula. It definitely works.
Thank you.
Kind of to stay in that same vein of makeup innovation, and seems like the last few years, makeup has really been having a moment, whether it's because of the rise of beauty bloggers on YouTube and Instagram. It just seems like makeup is like, it's really a thing right now that people are interested in learning more about, and not just buying a product, but knowing more about the products themselves. And I'm just curious, what keeps you engaged in this field? What do you love about it?
So I always loved makeup as a consumer, not as a chemist. Growing up, I always remember I loved mascaras, I loved nail polish. Ironically, lipstick wasn't like my thing, and I ended up working on it, but I really loved makeup. And then I tried, since I love it to begin with, it doesn't mean that to be a cosmetic chemist, you have to be like a makeup lover and be into it. You don't have to, but I do, and I actually like it a lot. So using also social media to keep up to date on the trends, what people are saying. I think the consumers are very, very smart. They, like you mentioned, they want to know more about the products. It's not just, randomly picking something off the shelf, but they really want to understand, sort of what the brands stand for and all of that. So I use a lot of videos, watch videos to see how people are using different products, because that can give me ideas on, we intend the product to be this, but people are using completely different. So what are they seeing that we're not? And maybe we can apply that in the future. I love also seeing the artistry behind makeup. So I'm not that artistic. I wish I could do all those looks and contouring and all of that. I don't, but I really enjoy seeing people doing that and knowing that I can make products that can help people into the, develop that creativity. I love that. So that keeps me also engaged and motivated. And I've had experiences just talking to people in the way that makeup helps them just feel better or just express who they really feel they are. So that also keeps me going. So I keep it, all of that, I use it to stay up to date in the industry and start thinking of other things that I could be doing.
Very cool. I love the idea of you going directly to the consumers to see what they're doing online, to to innovate and do different things. Like I remember seeing one time a beauty blogger that I follow used like a highlighter on their lips before applying gloss, and it like completely changed the look. So I think you're absolutely right. It's really interesting to see the different ways people are using their own creativity to put a spin on products, and it informs your process too. What are some of the challenges the cosmetic industry is facing right now that you're able to help address through your work?
In my opinion, I think just people want like real performance. So being able to work on products that really deliver on, especially like I work a lot of like long wear, extended wear products that last all day, but that can people actually see it. It's not just saying, oh yeah, it lasts all day, and then half day you're like, what happened to my face, right? But working on making sure that those products work. That's what I've been doing. So that's, for example, what SuperStay Matte Ink is, a product that lasts all day, and that we have, the scientific knowledge behind it. So yeah, that's really my focus right now.
Very cool. How important is representation to you in science?
Well, I think representation science on every single aspect of life is very important. Like, the if-then initiative says, if you can see it, you can be it, right? I think that's totally true. At least, for me, like I never saw another, Puerto Rican woman with a PhD in chemistry working in cosmetics. I just kind of progressively got to where I am, but it doesn't mean that that everybody, it has to be the same for everybody else. So I hope that I do the best to represent where I come from and, what my ethnic background. But I feel like also it's super important for innovation and creativity. So if you have representation of women, like different gender representation, you have different cultural representation, so that it opens the door to be even more creative, more innovative, because every person brings something different. And if we all look the same, think the same, we're just gonna be very narrow oriented in what we do. And then I think that really slows down innovation. So for me, representation is super important, and for letting other people see, like, I can be that, like serving as a role model. And to me, it's just that it's very important representation of all people, all, from different backgrounds. It doesn't matter where you come from, you can definitely be whatever you want to be.
If you can see it, you can be it. I love that. Let's talk about mentorship. I understand that mentors have had a huge role in your success, and I'm interested to hear about the different people that have inspired you along the way. So tell me a bit about your experience with mentors and how you're also giving back now in your career.
Yeah, so I've actually been very fortunate to have had multiple mentors throughout my my career, just post-college career, that have guided me a lot, and probably I wouldn't be where I am today if they were not there to guide me through those kind of decision points. When I was an undergrad, I did a summer research internship at Merck, the pharmaceutical company. And the person that was my supervisor there, Dr. Mitnall, he wasn't just my supervisor, and when I was in the lab, he really started guiding me through like science and STEM. Through him, I learned that I could go to grad school and get an advanced degree and continue to do research. So something that I really didn't have exposure growing up. So he organized for me, since I was in New Jersey, he put me in contact with people at Rutgers University, and they organized me to come and visit like the chemistry department. So I was able to start, okay, this is a little bit more real. So I started learning, and then I decided, yeah, I want to continue going to grad school and doing research. And throughout grad school, he was still my mentor. And to this day, I've had multiple, jobs after I finished my PhD, multiple positions at L'Oreal, and still, have those conversations with him about just career development and just mentorship. Sometimes you just get to a point of like, I have to make a decision. I don't know which way to go. So it's always good to have that person. I also, my research advisor at Rutgers, Dr. Urich, she was also instrumental because I learned, they did all my graduate training. And I learned a lot from her. So seeing her as a woman, she was one of the top professors in the department. She had like her career really in place. So to me, that was a huge role model. It's like, she's done it, right? She made it. She's super successful. I can do the same, and I can learn a lot from her. So when my time at Rutgers, yeah, it was tough. She pushed me to always give more and more and more, and never settle for less. So she really mentored me so much, and I'm super grateful for that. And then now, having, at least these are just two examples. I have so many other people that have mentored me as well. And one thing that I learned is that I really can't really give back to them. Their careers are, they're great at it's successful. So I have to give back to the next generation. So do the same thing that they did for me to another person. So that's why I put mentorship and helping students, helping people figure out what they want to do next as a priority. Because other people took the time to do that for me, and they didn't have to do it. Well, I said they don't gain anything. Like there's no money involved, or just the satisfaction that you actually help somebody else. So I possibly pay them back other than just doing the same for others. So that's why I spend a lot of time doing outreach activities. I mentor people. I love, I've done a lot of recruiting for, at work. So I've seen a ton of resumes. So I know what a good resume looks like and what a bad resume looks like. So I also give back in that sense. Like there's people that reach out and, I need, they don't know where they are. I don't mind if I have the time taking a look at a resume and say, hey, I think you should just change this and that, or asking certain questions. That's the other thing. Like sometimes we have these amazing things that we have done, but we don't think they are. So until I ask you, have you done any of this? Maybe it should be front and center on your resume, because it's making you different from everybody else. So those experiences are the ones that made me focus on giving back. In mentorship, being also selected in the If Then initiative is being huge, because at the moment when I fill out the application, I really didn't realize how big of an opportunity it was. So this past year that I've been involved, just giving me I never ever thought of all the opportunities it was going to give me.
It's awesome. And we're so grateful, just to reiterate again, we're so grateful to have you with us today talking about this awesome field and the work that you're doing. Do you have any advice for young women or young girls even that are maybe thinking about pursuing a career in STEM someday? What activities can they get involved in? What can they do to help nurture that interest that they have?
So I think even without leaving the house, just start getting that, if they have the curiosity, start getting those questions, and then how can they answer? It could be anything simple. Like I remember, and this is something I never made a connection that I was like exploring STEM. I used to like do experiments at home. I would mix stuff and see what happened, right? I wasn't solving any issues or inventing anything. I was just like curious to see. I remember like shampoos, I would take all the bottles and mix them and see, what I would get at the end. So just start getting like asking questions about what's happening around them, around the world, because that's what we do in STEM. Scientists, engineers, we're just trying to find answers to questions. So you can start something small at home. If you're curious about something, like it could be anything, your dish soap, or there's a plant growing in your house. So start asking those questions and see how you can answer them. Then if you're lucky to have the opportunity at school or in some other program to start exploring it, then go for it. Because I feel like it's not like if you try it, then you're locked in it forever, even if you don't like it. It's a matter of trying different things and then seeing what is it that you really like. for me, for example, when I finished high school, I thought that I was going to just get some science degree so I could go to become a dentist, because that's what I knew. I didn't know anything else. And then I started doing research. My first research experience was very biology oriented. So I was like, I really like being in the lab. Then I saw like they had some animal studies. I was like, no, this is not for me. So I learned animals testing and me, we don't mix. So that's why I was like, okay, with the chemicals and all of that, the reactions, I'm good. And it was a learning process. Same thing, like when I went to Merck, my first experiment, I plated my cells, put them to grow in the incubator, come next day and they're all dead. So, it happens. So it's just exploring. So which one, like I don't work with anything biological other than, people to test products. So, but I found what I really liked and then left behind what I really didn't, but also served me as a learning opportunity. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I remember a long time ago, I did an experiment. Maybe I can use something similar in what I'm doing today. So I think it's just a matter of try things. Don't be afraid. If you like it, continue. If you don't, put it aside and then continue looking for that one thing that you really like.
You talking about making your own little cosmetic experiments as a kid at home reminded me of one of the coolest science projects I saw at the Pittsburgh Regional Science and Engineering Fair a couple of years ago. It was two girls, I think they were in the 6th grade, and they did a test to see what is the best way to remove makeup, if it's soap and water, if it's with like a cold cream or micellar water. And the micellar water ended up coming out on top. But what impressed me so much was that even at that young age, they were already thinking about how they can problem solve to make people's lives better eventually. And I think that's something that's so important to touch on with STEM fields, is that that's really a cornerstone of what people like you are doing in different fields. So it's just awesome stuff. I have so enjoyed this conversation with you today. Before we sign off for today, do you have any other wisdom you want to share with the folks that are watching?
So I think like for the cosmetics chemist perspective is that many people think like, oh, which school do I go to, right, to become one, right? So there's very few like programs that actually teach you like the ins and outs of like being a cosmetic chemist. My learnings have been on the job, right? So it's a matter of getting the general scientific understanding and background, and then seeing how can you apply that to the cosmetic chemistry, and be creative and think outside the box. It's very easy to walk into a store, buy a few products and start experimenting, seeing how can you change. If you mix things, like what do they do? Also, like cosmetic products, the ingredient composition is always in the pack. So everyone can look up what each of the ingredients are, so you can start learning about, because that's really the building blocks of a full formula. So if you want to be a cosmetic chemist, you need to understand all the different ingredients. So that's something that you can start doing. If you're interested in cosmetic chemistry, you can start doing it like today at home. You don't need a lab, you don't need to have a degree. It's just exploring that curiosity. And then there's so much information out there. There's a ton of videos, influencers that they test products, they talk about what they do, what they think. So using that also, that's research. I use that as my own research. Like I sit down on YouTube and watch a ton of videos just to see what people say. So if you're interested in becoming a cosmetic chemist, you can do a lot of exploration at home. That when the day comes that you can have an interview, or there's a position that you want to pursue, that you can talk about that. It's not like I just want to be a chemist. No, I want to, and this is all the ideas that I have, and this is all I've done to explore and understand it, showing that you have that interest. So it's super easy to do. And also, I always say, like, although I'm a cosmetic chemist and I talk a lot about it. Also, there's the people that don't like it, and that's totally fine. And there's a ton of other things that you can do. There's, food science, and there, engineer. There's so many other things, and it's just explore. Don't be afraid. Always just try it. You like it, good. If you don't, just leave it aside. And that way, you will definitely find what is it that you are passionate about and want to do for the rest of your life.
Awesome advice. And that's actually a great segue into some of the viewer questions we received. Someone is asking, what advice do you have for chemistry students wanting to work for a makeup company? What kind of skills or course knowledge and experience do you think they should pursue?
So I think, like, your basic classes that you need to get for a degree, general chemistry, organic chemistry, all that stuff you have to have and be good at it. If your school happens to have elective courses that are around, cosmetic science or personal care, take that. Also, there are a lot of internships that you could do. And some people don't know, but a lot of private companies have internship programs. They're very competitive, but they're actually very good. I did one at Merck, so as an undergrad, and it really showed me a completely different world. So start exploring it that way through an internship, or if you can have the flexibility to do your own research project, try to do it around cosmetics and start learning that way. Also, I feel like the internet is our best friend. There's a ton of information that we can find there. And for me, when I look at like people that wants to join the industry, is a matter of showing not just, we're all scientists, right? We all take the same classes, but how are you different from everybody else? What sets you apart? So if you start like doing that exploration and getting that knowledge, and you can actually talk about it and show how much you know, that's what is going to set you apart.
This next question is, I'm so excited to hear we have somebody from Puerto Rico watching with us now. And what advice would you give to undergrads from Puerto Rico who want to follow in your footsteps?
That's the good question. So I just want to say hi to that person. I'm glad someone from back home is listening. So what I would say is there's just look for your own opportunities. Don't wait for the opportunities to come to you. If you are open to, leave the island, come to the mainland, there's tons of opportunities, but you have to look for them. If your school has a program, a research program, join that, program today and start talking to these people of like all the ideas, all the opportunities that you want. And also reach out to other people that you may know that have been through all of that process that you see in your future, so they can help you and guide you through it. Like, you don't have to do it alone, even if nobody in your family has gone through that. It just don't give up. Work very hard. Sometimes we will have to work a little extra harder because we have, certain limitations. For example, my English is like a 10 to 12-year-old English. So just work very hard. Don't be afraid. Even if your English is not perfect, people are more than willing to help you. And just keep working hard, do what you need to do. Don't take no for an answer. If one door closes, go find another one, the back door or the window, and keep working hard. And it's one thing that I want to say is that you can do whatever you want. And if I was able to do it, because it hasn't been a super easy pathway for me, I believe that anyone can do it.
Awesome advice. Oh, this is a fun question. Are you given any opportunities to travel through your role at L'Oreal?
Yes, I'm extremely fortunate. I've traveled a lot. So I've been, of course, it's a French company, so I've been to France many times. It's been excellent experience. I've been there for global meetings, so I get to meet my colleagues from all over the world. And also I've been there to do experiments as well. So a couple
Ah.
years ago, I went to do some kind of high throughput experimentation with an equipment that we didn't have in US. So it was extremely rewarding, right? To get to do something like that in another country. And also a few years back, I also got the opportunity to go to China for another meeting. So that was also, like, that was the first time that I went to Asia. And from a professional and also cultural perspective, it was super eye-opening. I loved it. I really want to go back. I always hoping that I can get like some short-term assignment so I can go and spend some time, a little bit more time there and work with my colleagues there. But yeah, I've been super fortunate. Not everyone gets to travel as much, but I've been super fortunate to have the opportunity.
Very cool. Let's backtrack a little bit to your education. Someone wants to know, were you always considering a PhD in polymer chemistry, or were you considering other career options?
Yeah, so no, I wasn't not like dreaming about polymer chemistry like my entire life. It's all part of the progression and the knowledge gathering. Like I said, in undergrad, initially I was like, oh, I'm going to be a dentist, blah, blah, blah. Then I started doing, research. Initially, for me, like chemistry was like organic synthesis of like small molecules, because again, this is what I know. But then when I started learning about the research program or the graduate program at Rutgers, so I learned about my advisor's research, and she was investigating polymers for different types of applications. And I was like, oh, that's super cool, because I had my experience at Merck, and I really wanted to do something related to the pharmaceutical industry and be like, finish my PhD and go back to the pharmaceutical industry. That was like what I was thinking. So that's why I chose to work with my advisor, so I could do research and like extended release of medication. And so that was my plan. And then things took a completely different turn as I learned different pathways, and also, life happens as well. When I was finishing my PhD, the pharmaceutical, industry was not at its highest point. They were not hiring that many people. So I had to, think, what else can I do? So that's why I went into, a completely different industry.
I think it's really important to note that not every career path is linear, and that, there are twists and turns in the path sometimes that lead you to the job that you're really passionate about. So thank you for sharing those details about your education and just in general chatting with us today. I've learned so much from you in this short time, and I'm sure our viewers at home have really enjoyed their time with us today. So before we go, anything else you want to add or mention?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me today. Thank you for everyone that is watching. I hope that my chat with the Carnegie Science Center has been helpful for you. I also want to just give a little shout out to the If Then initiative, all the ambassadors and everyone, Lida Hill, and everyone that has been part of it, because I wouldn't be here if I weren't part of that initiative. So I just really want to say thank you to all of them. And to everyone that is listening, I just want to say that you can do whatever you want. Everything is possible. Also, STEM is awesome. Scientists, we're cool people. We look like normal people. So I hope that you get excited about it and decide to join it. There's a lot of knowledge, but there's also a lot of things that are not known. And think about it, you can be that person that discovers it. So thank you.
Dr. Roselin Rosario-Melendez, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope everyone watching will tune in next week for a conversation with Dr. Rico Wright-Carlson. She's an associate professor of mechanical and biomedical engineering at Robert Morris University. We'll talk with her next Wednesday, August 12th at 11 a.m. right here on our Facebook Live. More details and our full list of speakers for the next few weeks can be found on our website at carnegiesciencecenter.org. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.
Thank you.